Is this recording? God, I thought... God, I can't have no fun. Man. I'd have had everything plugged into an amp if I wanted to record. I'm just trying to get my practice on y'all walking into my house. Or record, or hit somehow the record button got started before whatever. D-Roy Cruz here, your life applications officer. I'm going to continue a little bit more of love and blues. It's important. I just came across a video, and I'm pretty sure there's a series, and of the passport bros. Okay, but I want to say this before I get to wow, I need to get to bed. I got to work 3 to 11 tonight, so hopefully I'll get sleepy again and go back to bed. You know, just like me here, watching Chuck Norris. Now, Chuck Norris, he's old now, but he's always put his wife and this other woman, you know, he's trying to sell a product, you know, a fitness product. And he's using all these women to, you know, Mr. Christian Chuck Norris. You know, they don't teach you this stuff in church anymore. They taught me, but they don't teach you this stuff in church anymore. He's using all these women, young and old, very young and old, to, you know, just very little guys, but mostly women, to display this exercise equipment. Now, this thing right here, I know that's a model. That right there, that is something, that's a model. Ain't no way. I mean, that girl is, you know, this is what I mean when I say, when I talk about immodesty and, you know, these are the things that destroy love. Okay? He got all these women on here, and right before I picked up that guitar, there was a woman on there showing you what, and you know, most of the time it ain't the fitness program. These women were already built like that before they got on the show. But this one girl, she had on these tight spandex, and I'm sitting here and I look, and she's got her legs cocked open while she's riding on one of them sliding machines. Every time she goes down, her legs, you know what I mean? And then she comes back up, and then she goes back down and in them tight spandex. And she got this lovely body, you know. Then she gets off the machine and she goes to the mirror and she's, you know, and then she turns around to the camera, show her butt cheeks, you know. I remember when I was a kid. Now I look at something like that today, I get a little bit, as a Christian, I get a little bit offended. Like, instead, I know we need to make money, we need to sell an item, but you know, I was taught in church camp for 10 years that you can separate anything between men and women to keep it moral and to keep it pure. And there's always guys that want to look around and try to, the guys are over there doing their calisthenics separate from the women, or the girls I should say, and there's always that one that's peeking around the tabernacle to see if he can catch one of these girls in her short shorts. And they still do it today. They do it at my age today. They do it at 80 and 90. Girls, women get attention for being beautiful. And it's not, now they got a Bible program on there. Thank you. Lex Feldick. Thank you. Went from, you know, showing how good women look in spandex and low-cut tops to a Bible program. Okay, here you go. That's what I'm talking about. My goodness. Okay. Anyway, I remember, you know, coming up in church, the boys did things separate from the girls. Okay? And I remember how the girls would go swimming first and they would come back, and you never got to see the girls in their bathing suits, and they didn't wear bikinis. They weren't allowed to wear bikinis in the church camp. They wore bathing suits. I mean, if you came there with a bikini, nobody sent you home or anything like that, but the rule was wear a bathing suit, you know. And just the bathing suit. And I remember you couldn't see the girls in their bathing suits until we left the campground, went up the highway, went up the hill, and then you could see over into the swim area from up the hill. And all the guys was like, had their faces glued to the windows looking down. I'm like, what are they doing? Yeah, they trying to see the babes. I'm like, oh my God. You could see them swimming. Because by the time we left the campground, by the time we got dressed, got back on the bus, drove out of the park, headed up the highway, they had just got done doing a roll call for the girls, and now they were ready to take their swim lessons or whatever, okay? And so they were all in their little cute little bathing suits, okay? And the guys couldn't wait till we got to the top of that hill, because you only get a minute. Because once you get to the light, you don't see the campground anymore. But you look over the hill, and you can see them in there in their bathing suits, walking around the pool, and jumping in the pool, and stretching, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And they had to see it. It was important. And now, even back then, it wasn't important to me to glue my face to the window. But did I look over here to the left and do like this? Yeah, I did. Because women, females are the most beautiful thing that exists. Okay? I mean, they're beautiful. And I mean, you know, there's other things. There's small, you know, I love babies. I got a pastor friend that tells me, hey, get a baby to him. He loves babies. Well, wait a minute. Everybody loves babies. You got a daughter like I got two. You got a son and two daughters. I got two daughters. Okay? And I think everybody loves babies. There's not a man out there in the world that don't love babies. You don't want to pick them up. You don't want to touch them. You don't want to have your own, but you love babies. What comes after babies? According to the Bible, what's next after what else is called the little ones in the Bible? The women, they are called the little ones. When the Bible says little ones, it's talking about women and children. At a time when women didn't go to war, only men went to war. What are we fighting for? To protect our women and our children, our families. Okay? Alright? At a time also where the first thing that a man stole from another man was his wife. And back in them days, women were always prepared to be kidnapped. Okay? And if she could be forced to marry, you know, your worst enemy, instead of being raped, you felt that she was safe. You know what I'm saying? But she get gang raped or something, you don't know if she's ever going to survive out of that. You don't know if she's ever going to be able to smile at you again or forgive you for losing the war or whatever. Okay? But, you know, you read your Bible, you know, this is why all this stuff is in the Bible, because of this stuff right here. And this stuff right here on YouTube. Okay? Why do transgender women wear more provocative clothing than the average woman? Than an average biological woman? Why? Because men are visual. And if you and when you look that good, you're going to get some kind of attention from a man, whether it's negative, whether it's political, or whether it's, you know, whether it's negative, political, spiritual, okay, or positive, or sexual, you're going to get attention. And I watched this girl, trans woman, college age kid, he dropped out of college to do this too. This guy that became a trans woman, I heard a story on YouTube, and he, right away, as soon as he turned the video on, he started talking about all the apologies for being a trans woman without realizing he's basically apologizing for being a trans woman. And he just kept on and kept on and kept on and kept on talking about, you know, well, people think this and people think that, and people think this and people think that, and people think this. It's not this, it's not that, it's not this and it's not that. But look how you're dressed in front of the camera. You spend more time a day worrying about your makeup and your hair and that bust, okay, and all that, more than the average biological woman. Because that's all you got. And you can't sit there and tell me you're so worried about love, but the only thing you're going to get is a penis. Looking like that all day, all the time. And you can't go like that. You can't go to work like that. Hopefully not. Unless you work in Hooters, you can't go to work like that. You can't do nothing but go to the supermarket like that, or ride the train or the bus like that, or whatever, and hopefully somewhere in your life some dude wants to what? Oh, some dude wants to sleep with you. And he said one thing, 2 words that busted him, and this goes for all of y'all. He said one word, actually 2, but mainly the one. He said men with the E, talking about what he understands about men and the men that he's been with and all like that. But wait a minute. You have a guy that doesn't respect you as trans. He doesn't respect that you are a woman, so to speak, and not just a trans woman. You have a guy that, you know, he just wants to do some hanky-panky with you and all like that. So you sleep with the guy. And then you get on YouTube and complain about it. You know what I found out? Speaking of trans women, most of these people end up doing porn. That's where they end up at. This idea that you're going to go out there and find love like a biological woman. Men that date, men who get into strong relationships with biological women don't have time for trans women. But men who are always worried about their libido and ain't worried about love, they have time for trans women. And if a straight man is sleeping with a trans person, he's probably also looking at younger girls that are underage. He's probably also looking at your mama that's ready to die. He'll bang any of y'all. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a culture of straight men out there that are in love with trans women. In other words, you became gay. And you found love in the gay community. It is what it is. Don't tell me that you're not gay. A trans woman who sleeps with a male, I'm going to say this again, I said this 2 videos ago. A trans woman that sleeps with men is gay because he's a biological male. He's gay. And if you sleep with a female, it might be heterosexuality, but you're calling it lesbianism because you really think that surgery, that science and surgery can change what God has created. It can't. Okay? So you become a lesbian and you're still in danger of just as much hellfire, not only by God but by the world in general, as you are if you sleep with a dude. Best thing for you to do is transition back. And what happens to most of these people that transition back? They end up being sexless. Because even after they transition back, now you went from looking like a female to looking like someone that tried to be a female. You went from looking like a fake female to looking like a dude with boobs. Okay? And vice versa, trans men, you went from looking like, a cute lady with muscles to look like the hairiest, ugliest female I've ever seen in my life. And I feel bad for you. But in the eyes of Jesus, you're better to transition back. Love is going to be very hard for you, not only right now, but in the years coming. And what these trans people are trying to do is punish women. I mean, I've even heard of trans women attacking women. It's bad enough that they're taking over women's sports and women are quitting women's sports and giving it over to trans. But the trans don't want to compete against each other. They want to compete against women. So the sports are just, are going to go quiet. They're going to go underground. No one's going to. It's not going to make money. You're ruining everything. Everything from sports to sex to marriage to the American model of who we are as a country. We are a culture in itself. I don't care what country you come from. I don't care what religion you are. We here in America are a culture. And of course, people like us, Christians, are more happy with American culture and pissed off at it at the same time. Because why? The founding fathers of this nation were Christian. Or at least they were using Christianity as a tool to preserve culture in this nation. And it was a beautiful thing. Okay? So last video I talked about the Passport Brothers moving overseas for love. I agree with you and many of the people that are complaining. You don't need to move overseas for love. You know, you're gonna fornicate over here and be banging chicks and having babies out of wedlock and all like that. Then you want to go overseas and find yourself a little pretty little Asian girl. See, that's what my brother from Tribe of Men in that last video didn't talk about. He's always hating on the women, but see, us men failed a long time ago because we are called to leave. We are called to lead. We are called to lead. It don't matter whether you're an alpha male or a beta male. Is it beta or beta? I think it's beta. Is it pronounced beta or beta? I'll say beta. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we are called to lead. We are the leaders. It don't matter how small we are, how tall we are, how rich we are, okay, how great in bed we are. We are called to lead. That's the culture. That's the Bible. That's the founding fathers. Men are called to lead this country. We are called to lead our women and our children. Now, to a lot of you heathens, that is considered bigotry. That is considered disrespect for women. That is considered slavery. Okay. Where are we at today? Men, and there's a big war between men and women. Your plan doesn't work, sir, ma'am. Half ma'am, half sir, whatever you are. A snit, a ditch, a blob, whatever you are. Listen, whatever gender you think you are. Your plan doesn't work. It is failed. It has fallen into the sea. Look, it doesn't work. What do we have today? We have biological men, biological women leaving each other. We have transgender women, mainly transgender women. Trans men are very quiet, okay? That's why you got to appreciate women when it comes to stuff like this. Real women. But, because, you know, trans women are just sitting back going, I'm a lesbian. That's it. That's it. Trans women is just still a lesbian. But why do men take it further? Because when you have something as significant as a man, in God's eyes, a man is the most significant thing. And who does the devil go after? He goes after the men and the boys. That's why you look at television, you look at YouTube. Okay? It's the boys that want to stop being men. Trans men are still, you know, trans men don't fight about whether they're men or women like trans women. Trans men, they just are lesbians. And they're content in calling themselves lesbians. They're not trying to go and rob men's sports. They're not trying to, you know, there's one here and there in the military, you know what I'm saying? But they ain't doing as much damage to America as the men are when they become trans. Now, biological women are doing plenty of damage. Okay? These are the numbers. Biological women are doing more damage to America than the average man. The average man is such a coward and a sellout and a sissy that he needs to leave and go overseas to find love when you should stay here and fight for your place in this country. You should fight and put everything back, because after all, it started with us. Because I remember back in the day when I was a youngster, just a little guy, my cousins, my lovely cousins bringing their little boyfriends over to the house. And they trying to keep their virginity, and they trying to they trying to wait. They don't believe you gotta wait till wait till you marry to have sex, but they want to go slow. But he wouldn't let up. He would not respect the fact that she wanted to go slow. She wanted him to love her without the use of sex at this time. They're divorced today. Matter of fact, he never got married. I mean, the ones that got married are divorced. I grew up with 4 lovely cousins, the prettiest women in Homewood. I had to grow up in a house with them, including their daughters. Where's all the boys at? Me and my uncle and my cousin Kenny, that was it. And Kenny wasn't around. Okay? Everybody else was female. Lovely females. From head to toe. Young and old. Okay? I watch their connections with men. And back in that day, women and even television was more moral about sex than we are today. But the men, see, y'all started this. Y'all mad at these women and you want to go overseas, but you started this nonsense because you wouldn't let up. Back in the day when women were pure and they wanted to go slow and they wanted to wait till marriage, you couldn't keep your hand out of her blouse. She was dumb for not telling you don't come over anymore because you couldn't keep your hands out of her blouse when she told you no. She told you it's rape. It's rape. But see, back then you didn't call it that. You should have. I said no. Why's your hand squeezing on my nipples? Why's your hand inside my blouse? I said no. I watch these guys. There were times when my little behind would come in there and wanted to walk in there and say, she said no. Don't make me take this potato peeler and peel you, man. Don't make me pull one of these hot skillets off the stove and pop you upside your eye with it. She said no. I'm sitting here watching this. I'm walking in and out of this kitchen watching it. You trying to do my cousin in the kitchen, knowing that people want to be walking through the kitchen. My Uncle Freddie ain't going to say nothing. You assume I ain't going to say nothing. That was between you and her. This is the problem. My Uncle Freddie, his face is just, He kept on and kept on and kept on until she finally said yes. Arousing a woman when she doesn't want to be aroused is the same thing as rape. Just because she gets aroused, that doesn't mean it isn't raped. If a woman doesn't want to be aroused because she's feeling unsexual at the moment, and they do this to kids. See, grown women, as they get older, they let you arouse them and they send you home, and then, but when they molest kids, see, and this is the thing that people don't talk about. Usually, depending on the age of the child, when you molest a child, it's through arousal. And a lot of times, the child started it. A lot of times, the child started it. The child wanted to kiss you in the mouth. She wanted to go from a little kiss on the cheek to French kissing because she saw somebody older French kissing. She's going to try to French kiss with her uncle, instead of her uncle slapping that child off his lap. You know what I mean? He's being all nice about it. Okay? And what happened? Then the next thing you know, next time she wanted to kiss him, them ideas got in his head, ain't nobody around. He wanted to see how far it would go, and, to close out this section, look, men are driven by what they see. I remember years ago, let me go to the YMCA first. That was a little bit older then. When I was a supervisor at the YMCA, you know, we had a fitness room downstairs. I can tell you, first of all, that a lot of men worked out just to meet women. Okay? I can tell you that a lot of women worked out, okay, just to be noticed, just to get attention. Not just from guys, but other girls too. And I can tell you this, that there was just as much fornication, not in the YMCA, but meeting at the YMCA and going somewhere and sleeping together, cheating on their husbands and all like that, just as much as they were at the dance club, you know, at the bar, at the club, you know. There's just as much adultery going on, and these women become numb to the point where, like, I'm the housekeeping supervisor, you don't want to wait for me, or you don't want me to wait for you, you want to take your time getting ready. I'm here for 8 hours, sweetheart, take your time, I'll come back later. But no, you want me to come in and clean around you, okay, and you know you're not dressed yet. Why do you feel that way? What's the difference between a woman who is very personal about someone seeing her in her bra and panties and a woman that's really like, first of all, there's morals. Morals is the word. But you know what the word is we never talk about is numbness. Women who don't mind men seeing them in their bras and panties have been around, first of all, and it's numbness. They're numb because of what they've been through in life, been through with men sexually, you know what I mean, all the things that they've done to, you know, that in a bikini that ain't got nothing to do with swimming. All the things that they done in their bras and panties that ain't got nothing to do with love. They're numb. The only moral they got is don't penetrate me. But if you see me naked, you see me in my bra and panties, it's okay. As long as you don't try to stick it in. That's how numb they are. Whereas a good woman, a moral woman, to see a woman in her bra and panties is rape. What are you doing here? I don't care how long I'm taking to get out. I don't care what the other women told you. You don't come in here and see me in my pink. What's wrong with you? I remember another incident at the YMCA where they had a fitness room. Well, it was a nursery. They turned it into a fitness room, and while it was under construction to be a fitness room, because we were having too much trouble with people bringing their kids to the nursery and not coming back on time, they just shut the daycare thing down. So one time these students had a flooding at their school or whatever, and so they invited members, I think they were middle school kids, they invited these girls that were members of the ballet team or whatever kind of dancing they had there. It wasn't what I caught them doing, that's for sure. But they invited them to come down and work in our fitness room that was under construction. You know, it just got a fresh coat of paint and they just got done flooring it, and you know, they were invited because their gym got flooded out or whatever. they invited the top members of the dance crew to come down. These girls needed to rehearse because they got a dance thing coming up. So I'm the only one in the lobby, the only man anyway, in the lobby, and I'm mopping and cleaning. And I didn't expect this. It's just one of them things that hit me. But these girls, you know, these young, pretty girls, okay, I can see why the school picked them to be the leaders of this little thing that they were going to do. These girls were built to the T. Matter of fact, I don't even think they were in high school yet. I think they were like in their last years of middle school. But I'm speaking for the guys here. This is why men, brothers, fathers, dads, well, that's the same thing, uncles, okay, school teachers, you all got to be careful. Because when I looked in that room, and I don't know if the room was tinted on their side, but ain't tinted on mine, but they knew I was watching them. And I wasn't watching them on purpose, I was just shocked. I almost dropped my mop. All I saw was the gorgeous butts and boobs bouncing all over the place. They was doing a little dance, and they turned around and looked at me and blushed. And I looked at them, I waved at them, I said, do your thing, I'm mopping. You know, I'm mopping like this. You know. And they did their thing, but they felt a little bit shy. They couldn't concentrate because they felt a little bit shy. These young girls know that when they dance like that, they know it triggers men. They know that. And they think it's cute. They think it's sexy. Because it's what they're being taught. They're not being brought up like I was brought up in church. When it comes to stuff like that, the females are separated. The females have their own space. They can come in there in their panties with no bra on. No men will be there to see them in the entire building. That's how much separation we had to protect the modesty and the virginity of our young girls. And then, you know, you see we got a world out here full of women dancing. And they don't think that a man likes to watch women dance. I can show you video footage. These video creators on YouTube, they go around the world to watch everybody dance, from Africa to Asia to Ukraine to America and back around again. They show video footage of people, women namely, dancing. And they love when women twerk. They love when women do dances where they put their pelvis up to a man, and if she does it just right, it's lit, it's lit. It's provocative, it's sinful. Ain't no man's pelvis got business grinding up against a woman's pelvis unless you married. And even if you're married, you shouldn't be doing that in public. You should do that at home in the bedroom. It'll make sex great between you two, trust me. But see, a man will go and do this with a woman, and a woman can go do that and just go about her business. A man, when he does that with a woman, as I said in another video not too long ago, that stays on his mind. That's how we're made. It's going to cause him to overact sexually to somebody else. He might go home to his wife, and she's wondering where he's getting his energy from. Oh, that little dance I did with Monica. You know, where we was bumping and grinding, you know, for the musical that we getting ready to do. Got me all screwed up. Sorry, baby. We ain't gonna tell her that though. You know. I talked about the Passport Bros Separation in politics, never mentioned anymore. Separation politics, never mentioned anymore. People think that it's bigotry for you to have, I don't feel that a neighborhood should be about black or white or any other race. I think we can all live in the same neighborhood, but we should all have, the neighborhood should have policies. I had a friend that lived in a gated community, and we went on vacation in his gated community, the men of the church. And we had a men's meeting. His wife went over mom's, and we had a vacation out. He had a trailer that looked like a mansion in a gated community. We went out there to his house in his gated community, and he told me about the policies of the community out there. And some of the policies were very personal. How men are to treat women, and how you treat your neighbors, and all this kind of stuff. But see, we're so dumb in America. We think that we can argue over a parking space when the parking space is in front of my house. And if I have a car, why do I need to argue with you about where I park my car when it's parked in front of my front door? You don't know. Like, I've had this several times. I've moved into neighborhoods, and the guy was like, "You can't park there. I got 2 vehicles." Well, now you got 1. You got a neighbor living next door, bruh. Park it in the back. There's plenty of parking space. Park it down the street like everybody else. I'm not going to park my car where I lived here longer. Dude, I'm going to park my car in front of my house. This is how stupid people are. Yeah, get disappointed all you want to. That's fine. I expect that. But you're sharing a neighborhood with your new neighborhood. Your new neighbor. Don't get mad because I got a car and I need to park it in front of my house like everybody else. Now, if you got 2 cars, then, and me too, I would expect I'm going to have to pick which car I want parked in front of the house. But man, I used to live in this one place, and I come home, there's chairs reserving my parking spot in front of my house, not for me. I took them chairs and put them in his yard. Then I went in the house and called the police. By the time he come over there banging on my door like he gonna knock it down, the cops showed up. I says, I'm gonna park my car in front of my yard as often as I want to, as long as my parking space is empty. And you're not going to block my parking space with chairs. You're not going to block my parking space by putting somebody else's car there so that when you get home you can put your car there, they can move out. No, we're not playing this game. Enough is enough. And the cops was like, dude, he lives here, he can park here. And if you're any kind of a nice neighbor, you'll make sure he gets to park there. You'll make sure that nobody covers up his spot unless, you're having company or something like that. We're not going to come up here and have this conversation again, sir. But this is how dumb people are. Another thing people do, they think they can just walk up on your property and start taking pictures. It's one thing to ride by somebody's house, stop in the middle of the street and take pictures of their house. That's fine. That don't bother me. But to walk up on my property, take a picture of me sitting in my backyard, taking pictures of, me and my wife, and you ain't even a paparazzi. Like, What's wrong with you, man? Then you think you can just waltz up into anybody's hotel or anybody's office building because you homeless. And if we don't have free water for you, it's one thing if we don't want, if it's one thing if we don't let you use our water fountain, which all the water fountains are still shut down because of the pandemic. It's another thing if we only have bottled water and the water is for our guests. Dude walked in just the other day. Walked in off the street, and I know who he is. I know he's a druggie. I know he's a drug head. I know it. I've seen him off drugs, and I've seen him on drugs. He come in there, and he's not homeless. It's just that when he does drugs, he gets stuck downtown. Okay? So he walks in there, and he's like, you know, he got busted. He's looking for a bathroom. Bathrooms are closed. You should know that by now. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, man. We're closed. You know. But he gonna waltz up in there, and when he saw me kicking all these other people out that ain't supposed to be in there, he's like, "Hey, I was just thinking I'd get some water." Where's water fountain? Dude, how long before I ever started working here, you've been coming in here running your little game. You know we don't have water fountains. We're not gonna have water fountains in a 5-star. We drink bottled water. We drink water. We ask for a glass of water with ice cubes in it. If you're a guest. That water ain't cheap. Bottled water is cheaper than the water. We're going to put some ice in it for you. We give you a glass of water. That's going to be more expensive than that bottled water. No, I'm not giving you no bottled water. It's for our guests. You're not entitled. I tell these guys all the time. They get mad. How you know? Look, you are not entitled to be here. Somebody owns this property. Somebody pays taxes on this property. Somebody pays all these employees to make sure this place stays 5-star. Nobody's going to put up with you coming in here thinking you're entitled for what? You ain't paying 1 red cent, bruh. You ain't entitled to squat. Go find another place to go to the bathroom. Find another place to get your water. Find another place to grab some free stuff. You are not entitled because you or whoever kicked you out of your home. You are not entitled. Okay? Sure, I don't mind helping the homeless people. I used to be homeless myself 3 times. But all the times I was homeless, I took whatever measure it took to stay off the street. I never once, and I had to go through some things to do that. I had to make some sacrifices to stay off the street. I had to stay with people I didn't want to stay with. I had to let my enemies think that I was a little kicking boy. A little sport. I had to pray out of that situation. But I wasn't going to be out on the street begging. If I can get a piece of bacon and a slice of bread, you know, if I can get a glass of water every now and then, if I can piss and poop without pissing and pooping outside, that's good enough for me. But I don't need to be on the street. So I'm willing to take whatever I got to take. And it's crazy how here in Pittsburgh, this is Allegheny County. This is the majority of it right here. In Allegheny County, you can't help people that are in Allegheny County. But if you go into Westmoreland County and Armstrong County and Blair County and the other counties, you can get help from Allegheny County. It don't make sense to me. Allegheny County don't want to help their own people, but they help people. They help the people that are in the suburbs, that are away from all the riffraff. I got that. I might do that too. I don't know. Because you know what? You go messing with people in Pittsburgh, you bring a lot of nonsense into these better neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I'm closing right there. Do you recruit your life applications officer? That's good enough. Stop pressuring people about sex. Stop thinking that sex is the most important thing in your life. Me as a male that ain't been with a woman in 20 years, I think about sex 20 times. I think about sex all day long. And every time I see a lovely lady, I feel like I'm in heaven, being held back from coming all the way in the gate. Okay? But I'm not thirsty. Okay? I'm not thirsty. I'm not perverted. And for everything that God asks you to do morally and spiritually, He also blesses you to have the strength to carry out what He wants you to do. When we become Christians, we're able to do what God has asked us in His Word to do. We don't have to be ashamed. We're able to do what God has asked us to do. We don't have to be ashamed. Stop letting the world tell you that you have to be with someone. You have to have sex. You have to go places and do things that make you want to have sex. You know that if you go to the disco and you let some guy rub all up against you, that's going to make you feel some kind of way. You know that if you sit between all of these guys and they're all over you, okay, you know they're going to say some things that are going to offend you. You know, they're going to say things, they're going to go, you know what I'm saying? You know that if you wear those clothes, you know that people are going to stare. You know the guys are going to give you all this unwanted attention that you don't want. So think. Think. As for you transgender people, if you take sex out of it, okay, and if you take your own depression out of it and believe in yourself as a person, you'll find out that you might as well just stay a man. You might as well just stay a woman. But these trannies are all about sex. And when you listen to these transgender people make a video and talk about being trans, it's all about sex. It's all about the men that they slept with that had no respect for them. It's all about, you know, what's going on when they're having sex and not being satisfied when they're having sex and all this and all that. It's about, you know, you're able to get out there and get attention, but you're not getting love. And you're not supposed to. What you need is the love of Jesus Christ, who will not only save you, but He will make you satisfied with your natural biological self. Look at me. I need to be something. I need to transition into a man. I need to transition into a woman that'll make me look better. I need to transition into, I don't know, I'm so small, I need to transition into Shrek or Bigfoot. You know, I need to transition into Lou Ferrigno or something. Everywhere I go, people just pick on me. I go to work, or they walk up on me like they're going to do something. Dude, I'm walking in the door. You go over there. You know, people just pick on me. Everywhere I go. I see these young boys on the bus that just a little bit taller than me. They fresh, you know, they middle school, high school, you know. I know, let them go out the door first. Let them get ahead of me. because they being silly, you know, they're bound to try something. Bound to try to trip me or hit me upside the head and act like it was an accident or something, you know. People just look at me and get weird ideas. And I'm thinking, I ain't no woman. I ain't showing my legs. I ain't showing my cleavage. Why you staring at me? Why you smiling at me? People freak me out. I thank God that I'm a Christian, because I've met other guys that are in the same exact situation I am in, and they're in jail for hurting people, for killing people. Okay? They're enemies of people for a totally different reason. People disrespected them. They did drastic measures to get even. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person. When the shooter was only 5'3", you pretty much know why he felt he needed to go in there and start shooting. But I don't want to be that man. I don't want to be that man. That's why I'm so glad that Jesus saved me. Jesus saved me from myself. He saved me from you. Because look at my YouTube channel. Look at my job. Look at and I'm not trying to play the victim here and say everybody's against me. I got plenty of friends in the church that love me. There's people that think I'm a star. They want my autograph for things that I did that I don't even do anymore. But the thing is, without Jesus, I wouldn't be very happy, because of the relationship that you want to have with me, like most people do, and because of we are so idiotic in this country that we think that we can make God sit in the back. If people are arrogant about God and God can't tell them nothing, of course they're going to look at people in sizes. They're going to size up people and have no respect for people. People only respect money. They don't respect people. That's another reason why, you know that girl, that lovely Asian girl that I showed you in last night's video, you can look at her and tell she's looking for a man with money. That's why she's yelling back at these women that don't want these brothers, because these brothers ain't coming over there trying to be the same brothers that they over here being over here in the U.S. They coming over there with money. They coming over there with you got to have a good job in order to leave the country. They didn't talk about that. But you have to have some kind of way of making money. And usually it's more money than you had in the U.S. or you wouldn't be leaving. Okay? So these women are over there to be taken care of by these men. And they don't need as much money as a lot of these women over here in the U.S. But, you know what I'm saying, for them to be able to stay at home and not do nothing but live off your money, which in some cases they're getting what they deserve for all they've been through. In other cases, it's just plain prostitution. Okay? But I am doing recruits. I am the life applications officer. It's been fun. It's been long, but it's also been fun. I'm an hour in. I apologize, but that's what these videos are about, just rambling. So I hope you watch it, and I hope you leave a comment. God bless you.